In conversation with Becky Robinson. Becky Robinson is a founder and CEO of Weaving Influence, a full-service digital marketing and public relation agency that enables thought leaders and authors to build their brands, drive visibility, and increase sales. Since launching more than a decade ago, the firm has helped clients launch more than 200 books under Becky's leadership. In April 2022, Becky published her first book with Berrett-Koehler Publishers titled Reach, create the biggest possible audience for your message, book, or cause. In 2023, Reach received the prestigious Axiom Business Book Award in the Advertising, Marketing, PR category. It was a gold winner in the Nonfiction Book Award and named a distinguished favorite in the category of Marketing and PR for the New York City Big Book Awards. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today, Becky Robinson. Welcome on the show, Becky.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, we are finally here to have a lovely conversation around your book and your experience so far. Your bio sounds quite beautiful. I'm excited to have you on. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah. So, Becky, I want to first say that I love the reception of your book, Rish, on Amazon, and I would like you to tell us how the book came about. I know a bit of it is from your experience with the CEO and your organization, but I'd like to ask you particularly and to hear from you directly what inspired you to write Rish.
Sure. Well, I'm one of these people who grew up always wanting to write a book. And when I started to work with authors and I got a glimpse of what it was like for them when they brought their books into the world, it made me want to write a book even more. I did wait quite a while. I was in business about 10 years before my book came out. And I think what that did is it helped me to clarify my ideas. It helped me to know more of what I wanted to write and contribute. And a lot of why I wrote my book was to be able to share some of the knowledge that we share with our clients as it relates to how to build an online presence and reach an audience. And I think it really helped that I was in business longer and would have some additional stories and insights to share before moving forward to write a book.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's quite lovely. And that's a lovely introduction into becoming a writer, lovely introduction into becoming an author. And if you have a copy there, I'd like you to show to the camera before I proceed. Beautiful cover you've got, even. Reach. I love the title. Telling you have so many people you have to reach. Reaching out to people all over the internet space. Reaching out to people irrespective of their geographical location.
Yes, that's the power of the internet.
Yeah, yeah. And for readers who haven't read the book yet and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect in terms of themes and subject lines picking up the book?
Happy to share. So, in the book, I define reach as expanding audience plus lasting impact.
Mm,
So, reach is not really only about growing more people to pay attention to your work, but it's also about making a difference for them over time. And
mm.
in the book, I outline the four commitments that I feel are necessary for anyone to be able to create reach for their work. And I'd be happy to dive into those if you'd like.
Yeah.
I also share in the book what I call the reach framework, which is basically a view of how to be able to grow an online presence, starting with your own website,
Mm.
building an email list of people who give you permission to market to them, how you can use social media to find and form new relationships, and then some advanced approaches that people can use once they've mastered what I call the fundamentals, which is really making sure that your value is clear on your website, making sure that you have permission to market to people via email, making sure you have a vibrant social media presence. After that, you may want to invest in other outreach opportunities, including public relations, to get media opportunities like this podcast to be
Mm.
able to reach a wider audience with your work.
Oh, wow, that is quite amazing to know, really. I love your take on that, and it sounds quite fun, yeah, quite great to me. And it's something that I think so many people need, yeah. We're in a space where we need more works, more visibility for our works, more visibility for our voice and platforms that enable people to get to know that, oh, we are here offering something great, or we are here, we have a lot to offer to the world. Thank you so much for sharing. That was quite thoughtful.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome. I'm happy to share. I think sometimes people don't understand the possibilities represented by choosing to show up in online spaces. A
Mm,
lot of us live our lives offline, or if we're using social media, it's more just to connect with friends or for entertainment. But if you intentionally choose to show up with value, you
mm.
can have a bigger difference to help others with your content.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. That's quite beautiful. That's quite amazing. And Becky, knowing that you are the founder and CEO of Weaving Influence, I would like to ask you, in what way, as a position as a founder, influenced your writing? I would love to hear your take on this.
Sure. Well, I think that as I was writing my book, I realized that the book could have a big impact on my company and our services because the book, in a way, it's like a expanded business card where people can quickly find out the type of work that my team and I do, and it could
Mm,
help people in deciding whether or not we're the right company to support their marketing efforts. So
mm,
as I wrote the book, what I wanted to do was be sure that I was bringing my values to life, bringing the values of my organization to life, and also showcasing our company's expertise so that as clients or potential customers are coming to us, they can use the book as a means of getting to know us further to find out if we're the right partners to serve them.
mm. Oh, wow. That's quite heavy. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's quite amazing, really. I love your take on that. I mean, this is an amazing topic. It's something that everybody needs, every business owner needs, every marketing professional needs. I mean, even for business, and apart from being an author too, the sources of a business lies in the power of its marketing, the power of people getting to know that you are there, the power of people getting to realize that this is what you do. That's quite amazing, really. Love your take on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And according to your book, I would like to ask you, what are the four phases of a book marketing launch, if you'd like to share with us?
I would be happy to. So I envision the book marketing journey in these four phases. And the first one is what I call building.
Okay.
So, from the time that you maybe dream of writing a book until about 6 months before your book comes out, you're in what I call the building phase. And it's critical for anyone who wants to write a book to be thinking far in advance about building their audience or building their platform.
Mm,
And when you want to think about building, you're thinking about growing your list of social media followers. You're also thinking about growing your email list of followers. And finally, you're thinking about building content that can grow awareness of your work in the world. So it could be content from your book that you're bringing out early as you're preparing to bring the book to the world, or it could
mm,
be other content, similar topics. But what you want to be able to do is to establish a growing brand presence. And that's what you're doing in the building phase.
mm,
So the next phase of your book marketing journey is what I call the working phase. And I joke that the reason we call it the working phase is because it's a lot of work. So in the working phase, what you're doing is you're preparing all of the needed elements to be able to launch your book with momentum when the book is published. So you're gathering a group of supporters. You might call them an Amazon review team or a launch team or a street team. These are people who would read your book in advance so that when
mm.
the book comes out on Amazon, they can review the book. And those
Absolutely.
Amazon reviews are so important for social proof. Also in the working phase, you're doing things like, creating media, a media kit and a media list and beginning to pitch for articles and interviews so that you can line those interviews up so that you can be featured on various interviews, in the weeks and months leading up to and beyond your launch.
Yeah.
So you might also be doing things like creating social media content or graphic design content. You'd be sending out emails to involve people and to make sure that they know that your book is coming. So
Yeah.
that's the 6 months leading up to your book launch. And the third phase is launching. So I look at launching as the month surrounding the publication date of your book. And, during the launch month, what you want to be able to do is create some early momentum for your book. You want to be able to reach out to all of your existing networks to mobilize people to share your book with others. You want to try to drive as many sales as possible in hopes of getting a bestseller banner on Amazon or
Mm,
other bestseller lists. And you really want to be using the opportunity while your book is new to be able to share the message with people that it's available and how it will help them.
Mm,
So once the launching month is over, the final phase of the book marketing journey is what I call advancing. And advancing is keeping your book in the conversation over time. So you don't want to write a book and only market it for a month. You want to have a longer term view of the way that your book can add value to the world.
mm,
So I try to encourage authors to think about a minimum of 2 years where at least, on a regular basis, there's some type of initiative to share the value of your book with audiences so that you can
mm.
continue momentum and so that your book can do the job that you wrote it to do.
Wow. That's a trunk load you've got in there. That's an amazing. I was taking some note as you were speaking. If you notice my hand moving sidewardly, yeah, I was taking some note. I'd love to go back to. This is quite amazing. This is quite lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. There's a lot of value in what you've just said.
Thank you. So I
Yeah.
used to tell people that marketing a book was not a sprint, it was a marathon. I don't know if you run. I am a marathon runner. And what I realized when I marketed my own book is that there's a key difference between marketing a book and a marathon. And the main difference is that a marathon has a finish line. And when
Mm,
you're marketing a book, if you really believe in the work, if you believe in the story or the message of your book, there will not be a finish line. You will want to continue to share the book with people over a long period of time.
mm,
So marketing a book is more like making a long-term commitment to showing up with value every day, or like to use the running metaphor, it would be deciding that you're going to be a person who works out regularly.
mm. Oh, wow. That's quite amazing, really. I love your take on that. Thank you so much for sharing.
So you asked me what the greatest ways are to extend your reach. And I think that one of the myths about growing reach is that you can do it quickly. So I referenced earlier the 4 commitments for reach. The first thing that you can do to extend your reach is to choose to show up with value in online spaces. And that can be not only value in the content that you're creating, but also in the connections that you're making. So, of course, we can create, if we have ideas to share, we can create content or stories that are of value to others. But I wouldn't want to underemphasize the fact that relating to other people as humans, getting to know them and connecting with them is another way of showing up with value online.
Mm,
So to create reach, you want to start by showing up with value, and that's value through your content, but also through your connections. The
mm,
second way to extend your reach is to be consistent in sharing that value with others. So be consistent in connecting with others, or be consistent in engaging with others, or be consistent in sharing content with others.
mm,
The third thing is to be willing to do that for a long time. So the third commitment is longevity. And,
mm,
I think what sometimes happens is that people want to create reach and they show up for a short period of time. I think the longer you're showing up in online spaces, the more memorable you become and the more you can
mm,
extend reach as people continue to recommend you over time. Finally, the fourth way or the fourth commitment is generosity. And I believe in the
mm,
power of generosity to help us extend our reach. So, we might think about generosity as like giving things away, like giving services away or giving away something that's of monetary value. But I like to think about more generosity from the perspective of giving away encouragement to others, giving away support of others, being generous with kindness to others, being generous with connections with others. And it's disarming. And, when you're willing to give away your thoughts and ideas and value online without expecting anything in return, I believe that can help you extend your reach more than you could imagine.
mm. That's quite amazing, really. I love the fact that you said the longer you stay, the longer you're memorable, the longer you keep pushing, the longer you keep consistently, not just doing it for a month and disappearing, or doing it for 2 months and going into the dark, or doing it for 3 months and nobody gets to know about you anymore. But the longer you get to stay, connect with people, consistent with it, checking up on them, quite amazing, really, because this is quite lovely, really. It's something that I can relate to, like, oh, that's quite true. That's quite relatable.
Mhm. It can take a long time. I think people give up too fast,
Mm,
or they
yeah.
run out of steam, or they may try to do too much too soon. I've had clients before tell me, "Oh, I'm going to write a blog post every day." Well, you don't need to write a blog post every day. Just write a blog post every week, but do it for a long time.
Oh, wow. That's quite beautiful. Love your take on that. Thank you so much for sharing. I've gained a lot. Very educative session you've got in here. very amazing and quite pulling. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love that. And apart from reach, create the biggest possible audience for your message, book, or course. Do you have any other works you've authored or currently working on?
Yes. Well, one of the things I've worked on is a podcast. So I have a show called the Book Marketing Action Podcast. I have about 120 episodes of that show where we're sharing
Mm,
regularly ways that authors can market their books and take action to expand their audiences.
mm,
I'm also right now working on my second book. The working title is Reach Beyond Your Lifetime. And the new book centers on how people can create enduring legacy for their content in online spaces. I'm just at the very beginning of researching and outlining the book. But what I hope is that it will help people to get a vision for how they can intentionally uh, make sure that their ideas endure in the world after their lifetimes are over. So looking at people
mm.
who might be, toward the end of their careers, who are looking for a way to still add value to others and how they might set up their content in a way that people can access it later.
Wow, that's such a beautiful title. Reach beyond your lifetime. That is something amazing. That's basically you creating a legacy. Even long after you've gone, what you've created still has to continue. You're reaching even though you're not there anymore. You're reaching
Yes.
even though, and this is very amazing, really. This is something very great. And I think this is even every entrepreneur's, every businessman's idea. The real one. Those who are very serious about what they do, those who are passionate about their work, those who are passionate about their case. This is what they have in their mind that their work continue even long after they've gone. Yeah. This is very
Mhm.
amazing. I love your take on this. This is such a beautiful message and beautiful books you've got in here.
Thank you.
Very compelling title. Reach beyond your lifetime. Interesting. That's a deep title you have to think and ponder on.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's quite amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'd also like to ask you, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered in the process of writing these books and also ever since it got published?
Sure. I think that one thing that I've learned from working with authors over the years is that it always takes more time, energy, and money than you think to get your book out into the world. And
Yeah.
quite often, authors are disappointed with the results. You might have a vision that you're going to write a book and you're suddenly going to sell, 20, 30, 40,000 copies. The reality is that most books don't sell that many, and it's very difficult to sell
Mm,
books. So
yeah.
I one of the challenges that I've encountered is the same one that my clients face, which is, how do I get my book to continue to sell? How do I get the book into the people's hands who need it? And it can be discouraging at times when you're not getting, the traction that you'd like.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Thank you for mentioning that aspect too. And before we call it a day today, before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the viewers to know? Is there anything?
I'd love to share a story with you.
Yeah, let's
So
do it.
yeah, so I live in Michigan, and my husband and I live on a home that has about 5 acres of land. And we bought this home from the original owners. The original owners had built the house, and they had really wanted to create a place of peace for their family. They imagined that this property would remain in their family. They'd leave the property to their children. But
Mm,
one of the issues was that they wanted to create this peaceful, private oasis here.
mm,
But our home is on a kind of a busy like country road, and the traffic moves somewhat fast. The house is set back from the road. So
mm,
when they built the house, the issue was that you could see the road.
mm,
And what they wanted was this vision of a peaceful, private home. And
mm.
so they chose to do something pretty amazing. They chose to plant trees.
Oh,
And they didn't have a lot of budget for the trees. And so the owner of the house told me that when he bought 500 trees, they fit into a wheelbarrow. So they were tiny little trees, and he planted them all around the property, and he cultivated them and he watered them. And, he planted more trees after that. So
yeah.
that 30 years later now, when I live here, I do live in this place that's surrounded by trees. It's very peaceful. It's very beautiful.
Mm,
And when you think about building an online presence, It is like being someone who chooses to plant 500 trees and wait for them to grow. It may take a long time to see the beauty that you anticipate your work can bring,
Mm,
but you want to be that person who's patient enough to
mm.
cultivate beauty and goodness in the world and sharing what you have and having faith that you can create that world that you want to create.
Oh, wow.
So I would encourage those who are listening, if you're wanting to share value in online spaces, that you need to have the mindset of someone who would plant 500 trees and wait for them to grow.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. These words are quite deep. I can relate with it as someone who is also building a brand because this is something that most of the things you're saying are like, oh, that I can relate to this. This is something that I love wholeheartedly. It's something that I love listening to. And it is quite a joy, really, to even have you on to talk about the book on the platform. I appreciate it. And this is quite very educative to me, quite inspirational as well, very motivating. Thank you so much, Becky.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for that lovely story you've got in there.
Yes, it's the signature story of the book.
Yeah, oh wow, that's amazing. Thank you. And as a published author, I'd like to get your ideas on this. What sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with writing and publishing a book? What would you advise people in this category?
Sure. I think that the more an author can be very clear about who they're writing for and what the
Mm,
value that they want that person to receive, the easier it is to write the book. So imagine if you can envision the person that you hope will read the book. How old are they? Where do they live? What are their pain points? What joys are they seeking in their life? And if you're writing a nonfiction book, if you can
mm,
picture that person while you're crafting your book, you can be sure that it will deliver value to that one person, but then other people like them. So being
mm,
able to get clear about who you're writing for and what they need so that you can craft your book to meet those needs. I would also
mm,
say, one struggle for authors in today's world is that decision between seeking a traditional publisher or self-publishing. And I think about 10 to 15 years ago, there was more of a stigma maybe that self-publishing wasn't as,
yeah.
important or valuable as traditional publishing. But I think
Mm.
that, publishing has become more democratized. Anyone can self-publish a book. And I would encourage people not to let, the fact that they may get turned down by an agent or a traditional publisher stand in the way. If you have a message to share, it's worthwhile to share it. So keep going and don't give up.
Yeah, I think I love your take on that, and I think the world is changing. Many years ago, several years ago, all of these things in the literature field, before you get your book out there, it takes a long process. You have to follow to the traditional route, a long process. But as world is evolving, things are changing drastically. To me, well, I don't know if my opinion might be a bit biased, but to me, I think self-publishing has a much greater future compared to traditional. It's amazing. Well, people, first of all, because of the rejection coming to the trad area, people are beginning to diverse a bit into self-publish. And I think nowadays, I'm not sure what the geometry or algorithm would look like, but I think we should have an equal number, if not equal, a same equal level with traditional currently, because so many people are coming out on a daily basis, rushing into the self-publishing industry. I know it might be very tricky and very hard, but with the advent of social media, with the advent of internet, with the advent of the things you can do things yourself, and we have now beautifully works in the self-publishing route, it is able now to want to go on and on and on and on and on. And I think self-publishing has a great future compared to what we started with before.
Well, I agree, and it gives the author more creative control over their work.
Yeah,
I would say for anyone who's thinking about self-publishing, it's still important to invest in professional editing, professional covers, professional interior design to be able to ensure that your book can stand up with other titles in the
yeah,
market. You want to bring
yeah,
the best possible product to your readers.
yeah. I was watching a documentary yesterday, not entirely a documentary, but it's a WhatsApp status. Someone posted how people got married many years ago, how fiancés, how lovers find themselves. In the 1990s, the top of the list was True Family. True Family, I introduce you and I introduce your family. Then the second was True Church, etc. You were given the list, yeah. But as the year keep changing and unfolding, the advent of online began to grow a bit, grow a bit, grow a bit, and from 2000 to 2010 to currently 2024, online takes the highest number of how people get to connect together and even find love in relationship. So to tell you that the world is changing drastically, and people are going much more into the internet space over the other way we all started many years ago, you know.
That is true. That is true.
And that's also one of the reasons why all of these things need to come to place. Reaching people. You can reach a million, several thousands, a lot. The sky is a limit. There is no limitation at all with the number of people you can reach on social media and get your work out there to their table. Quite interesting, really. Thank you so much, Becky. This has been fun so far.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview and would love to get a copy of Reach, on what platform is it available on for purchase?
You can get Reach at all the online retailers, Amazon, bookshop.org. Any of the online shops have the book. If you go to my website, beckyrobinson.com forward
Hmm.
slash books, you'll find all the links to purchase Reach. And you can also download a sample chapter of the book for free on my website to get a taste of it.
Oh, interesting. That's amazing. That's such a great one. That's such a lovely giveaway you've got in there. Thank you so much. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Becky Robinson's book directly on Amazon, on our website, and also on other platform. Also left a link to social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Becky, for accepting the invitation were featured on P English Literature. I must say that this session has been quite motivating to me, quite amazing, quite lovely, very great, business oriented, well grounded into entrepreneurship, and very amazing into the host and the quest of reaching more people over the internet space and trying to build and share value to people that needs it. Thank you so much. This has been awesome and I enjoy it thoroughly. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I wish you great success on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.